Hey guys, in my last video, I showed how dishonest the media people are in their coverage of racism. One thing is certain, the mainstream media are some of the most corrupt, biased, and agenda-driven people in the world. As you might have heard, a Muslim woman was removed from Donald Trump's rally in Rock Hill, South Carolina over the weekend. The headlines were spun in one direction. Poor innocent Muslim thrown out of Trump rally. Muslim woman minding her own business gets tossed out of rally. Blah, blah, blah. You get the picture. Well, as is almost always the case with the crooked media, their spin was totally wrong. My wife and I were in Rock Hill, South Carolina for the rally, and we caught most of this disruption on video. In this video, I will show you the facts about what happened and exactly who was involved. I will provide the links in the description box as well as screenshots from the web pages themselves. Everything covered here will be a matter of public record. I have one purpose: to set the record straight. I want to begin with this photo showing the stands directly behind Mr. Trump. If you've seen the footage from CNN, you know to look for a light blue colored dress. Zooming in, you'll see the Muslim woman identified as Rose Hamid. She's identified here by a red circle around her, and a man to her right who has also been identified as Marty Rosenbluth. There's a good article from Breitbart about these two, and a link is in the description box. To the right of the screen is another circle marking a man with a light-colored stocking cap, or whatever you call those things. His name is Jabril Huff. In the red rectangle are more people taking part in this disruption. The woman with the red shirt on is Edith Garwood. The man with the flannel shirt is Lowell Fleming. There were no less than 8 people involved in this protest plot. Now, who are these people? As previously mentioned, Rose Hamid, dressed in the light blue, has been written about extensively. Just Google her name and you'll find plenty of reasons to doubt her so-called peaceful protest. The same with Marty Rosenbluth. For the sake of this video, we'll use social media. Let's start with YouTube. On Rose Hamid's YouTube page, she liked the video posted by Edith Garwood titled "Donald Trump in the Flesh." This was definitely not a video supportive of Mr. Trump. It included clips of Mr. Trump's rallies in Raleigh, North Carolina and Aiken, South Carolina. Here we see proof of the fact that this group of people has a history of disruption and protesting. Now, who is Edith Garwood? She posted on December 31st a personal invite for people to join her in protesting Donald Trump in Rock Hill, South Carolina, along with a link to the previously mentioned anti-Trump video. On January 3rd, she posted a picture of she and her friends making yellow badges and getting ready for the protest. On January 4th, she is happy, honored, and eager to go protest. Also on her page, we see protest pictures and a picture in support of Nabi Salah. This will be an important point later in the video. Looking at other Facebook page photos, we see a picture of Miss Garwood with 2 males identified as Jabril Huff and Lowell Fleming. This is Lowell Fleming's Facebook page with a photo from a Trump rally. He appears to play a lesser role than the others in this group. Here is Jabril Huff in Aiken, South Carolina. Looking at Jabril's Facebook page, we see a history of activism and protesting. We also find a photo of Jabril with Rose Hamid at the Rock Hill, South Carolina rally. Just to finish identifying the individuals involved, here is Marty Rosenbluth's Facebook page. From his photos, he appears to be a Bernie Sanders supporter, among other things. You can Google his name and find out the full story behind this guy. It's very extensive. Now that we know the people involved in this organized disruption of Mr. Trump's rally in Rock Hill, South Carolina, let's see how the plan was carried out. First, we see Jabril Huff being escorted up the steps. From media reports, he was already noticed by security prior to the event. As Jabril is being removed, the camera is going to pan back around to the center, and we see Marty Rosenbluth walking up the steps alone, hand held high in defiance and with no security. He does not have an escort. and is making the decision to leave by himself. A short time later, we see Rose Hamid being escorted up the steps by security. As she goes up the steps, notice the red rectangle with Edith Garwood and the other friends. They are now wearing the yellow badges that Ms. Garwood had made prior to this event. I'm not an expert on the Israel-Jewish significance of this badge, so I'll let someone else offer an explanation, but from what I've seen so far, it's not favorable toward the Jewish people. As Rose Hamid continues up the steps, she gets the response she was looking for. She gets booed, and deservedly so, for disrupting a private event with a blatantly staged protest. This is the third time that this group has interrupted a Donald Trump rally under the premise that they are simply expressing their freedom of speech under the First Amendment. Since these have been private events paid for by Mr. Trump, they should do their protesting elsewhere. You've heard the saying, when you go looking for trouble, you're sure to find it. It doesn't take long for security to notice the group of protesters with the yellow badges and begin to remove them. They seem to enjoy sticking the badges in the faces of people as they go up the steps. I mentioned earlier this photo from Edith Garwood's Facebook page. Nabi Salah, we stand with you. Nabi Salah is a small Palestinian village in the West Bank. Ms. Garwood is affiliated with Amnesty International, a group that has expressed their support for this small village and its representatives. Reading from an article posted on thewarpedmirror.com. Below, a sample of Manal Tamimi's recent outpouring of tweets without further comment except when needed for context. These tweets should also be read in the context of the recent declaration by Amnesty International's country specialist, Israel OPT State of Palestine, Edith Garwood, that her organization is supporting not only Bassem Tamimi, but that it has adopted his village of Nabi Salah as a community at risk, and that AI groups globally work on behalf of the village long-term, including here in the U.S. Indeed, already in November 2013, AI published a glowing tribute to the tiny village with a big voice that concludes with AI official Salah Hajizi declaring, "We need to tell the Israeli authorities, enough. You are no longer facing a tiny village on a small hill. You now have the entire Amnesty movement to reckon with." Presumably then, Manal Tamimi can feel supported by the entire Amnesty movement. So about that outpouring of tweets, looking at the Twitter feed of Manal Tamimi, they show a tweet stating, "I do hate Israel. I do hate Zionism. I wish a third intifada coming soon and people raise up and kill the Zionist settlers." Also in that Warped Mirror article, you'll see the tweets about Israel's leader with swastikas and a burning bus supposedly belonging to the Zionists. But the most interesting thing is this big Delete Israel button. Looks to me that this group of people who were supposedly doing a silent protest at Mr. Trump's rally are anything but silent. It's one thing to have a difference of opinion, but to express a desire to delete an entire nation is far beyond extreme. I think it's time for the media to focus on the facts and stop their hateful rhetoric and relentless attacks on the next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.